Welcome back to AV Veterans Talk. We're continuing our conversation with this week's guest, Bobby Breech. So, Bobby, down at 348 down there, the post, you guys all have all kinds of activities going on. You were post commander down there for 5 times.
5 times.
5 times. And you were explaining earlier and stuff, it's kind of like a learning curve. You know, each time you're a commander, you question yourself of why you're there and what you're doing. And as you gain experience, you realize. And, you know, once again, if you've been voted in that many times, it's a good indication you're good at your job, you know, because the people want you. Or either that or
baffle the best of them.
That's right, exactly. And so you have activities that take place down there. I know I've been to a lot of, you know, events, you know, there, whether it's Pat Murray's birthday or you know, or different types of things going on there. What do you guys focus on? I know you help with the Veterans Day programs, Memorial Day up at the cemetery up there.
Cemetery, and we'll be there in May.
In May, different veterans recognition events at what's the square? Ponsalon, that stuff, you know, that square, and you do things like that, right?
Yes.
So and the whole post participates, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
We that's with the AVSOA, Antelope Valley Service Organization Association, and so that's a lot of organizations that come in and get together, the group of in Pondvale, and we put on, like you said, the Memorial Day, Veterans Day, POW, MIA, and Flag Day. So four events a year.
Yeah.
And we get participation from the junior ROTC, from the local schools, which is good to see the kids, you know, growing up and kind of in the military.
Yeah. You know, the current crop of veterans that come back, they're not like the World War II, Korea, Vietnam guys. The younger mindset, are you bringing in the Iraq War or Afghanistan? Are you getting, you know, because a lot of posts struggle with that. Do you have members from current conflicts as members?
We have a few.
A few, yeah.
We have a few, but, you know, we live close to Edwards Air Force Base.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of the career guys, and they decide to come in. Of course, they're the older ones of the crew, but
I know that's kind of, whether it's a VFW or anything, it's the same thing.
Right.
The dynamics have changed of the soldier coming home, and you know, we always talk about the therapeutic value of the VFW and the American Legion back during a time when the struggles of a soldier returning from the battlefield, whatever, a lot of therapy would take care. You know, a lot of people say that it's just a smoky bar, you know, and guys sitting around telling stories. No, there was actually therapy taking place there, because guys would not feel comfortable coming back telling stories or problems or sharing them and stuff in a you know, civilian setting, you know, at the local pub or something like that. But when you're sitting, you know, or you're sharing time with other veterans that had experienced and understand, you know, stuff, that it helps through some of the problems, correct? And I know some people look down on the fact that, like, you know, alcohol and cigarette smoke and things like that, you know, is kind of frowned on nowadays, you know, for...
We don't smoke inside.
Yeah,
stuff
no
you just...
Well, there used to be. I'm
saying
there
oh,
used to
trust
be.
me, I'd go in and that'd be kneeling
underneath
on
the...
my hands and knees, you know, because I'm not a smoker. So.
It's like driving into the San Fernando Valley in the 60s.
Yeah,
you come down the pass and what's that haze out there? And but, you know, once again, it's sitting there and stuff, and there was a lot of good camaraderie there that helped a lot, especially the Vietnam vets. I think it was great that the World War II and the Korean guys were there, so when those Vietnam vets came back, it was kind of a lot of the guys and stuff said it was a crutch for them, you know, to hear the Korean War vet, you know, sharing his experience and saying, you know, hey, son, you got to tighten up those boots, and, you know, you just got to get back in the game, you know, and hearing it from somebody that probably experienced as bad, or if not worse, during World War II in Korea. You know, I always say about the World War II guys, you know, here we do deployments in World War II. If you were at Pearl Harbor, you were in there for the duration until Tokyo Bay, or you went over to Europe, there was no 6 months on the ground and you're going back home and stuff. You were there for the duration, And
Right.
now guys going like, oh my gosh, multiple times over there and stuff. But it's broken up. You get to come home, and then they kind of find out that actually that's probably detrimental to their good, because there's nothing worse than being in combat in Afghanistan and then coming home in 7 months and sleeping in your bed, and everything for another 5 months and getting used to civilian life back here again,
Right.
and then all of a sudden going back again. It kind of messes with your mind. But that's what the good thing about the Legion and the VFWs were back in those times and stuff was, once again, guys that had gone through a lot worse. I'm not saying what they're today is not
There's
worse.
always somebody new that comes in there and tells
Yeah.
his war stories,
Oh, yeah.
and we're all sitting there in awe.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
You really did that, or oh my God, And that's the one thing about the show, and you've known it from the years that we've been doing this. The idea is to share different aspects of military service. Whether it was, the fire control damage guy, or the pilot, or the ground pounder, because each one has their own unique story. And
Thank God I didn't have to really do what I was trained to
oh,
do.
no, that's where,
And that's where.
I was a civil engineer, but I had a war job that was chemical warfare, and I used to have to sit through those. Remember those training videos?
Oh yeah.
Videos back then. It was.
Oh, those-
I'm saying it was reel to reel. That wasn't video. That was 8mm or whatever it was. And I look at that and I go, if that. Yeah, it's, the film broke. If I was ever called upon, could I actually do what I'm looking at in these videos, these pictures and stuff?
Right.
And like I'm sure with you, if
Okay, to dwell on that just a little bit,
Yeah.
is you don't realize what you're doing when you're doing it over there. I didn't realize the impact it had on those people of everything. I just thought, hey, this is going on.
Yeah.
And your training instinct just takes over.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's you're
Yeah.
and you're focused.
Yeah.
So you don't, oh shoot, I got to do this. No,
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it until days later, maybe a month later.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
Or you go home and they get said, you were there, this and that. We saw this on the news and this and that. Well, I wasn't right there, and it wasn't like that
Yeah.
in my part. But go to the American Legion, there'll be a couple people that won't even want to talk about it even to this day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There are.
Yeah.
So the therapy is there,
Yeah. So-
and they'll take it. But some of them, it's a little. Can I say a little story? Like my old boss, one of my bosses, was in the Marine Corps, and his name, they call him Skosh, the little guy. And I said, "Come on, Skosh, come to the Memorial Days up at Desert Lawn." "No, I can't. I can't." He said, "I can't." And the next year, he stood at the front gate, and you've been there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Second year, he moved a little closer. It took him 5 years to actually be to where when I was at the podium talking,
He was
I
up
could
there.
look out and he was
could see him.
sitting right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so for some, their experience is different.
Yeah.
Mine was,
I,
I'm not going to say easy, but
yeah.
it wasn't, life threatening. Well, it could have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
was interviewing Lori here some time back, and she's with hospice care, and families have a hard time, when grandpa or dad or a brother or some doesn't want to share their war experiences, and realize that they are shared, like at a post, with you guys, to where that guy and stuff he shared with you, and then it's a slow process, as you get older, to letting go and being more comfortable with letting go, I guess you would say. So let me finish up this segment right here, and then we'll come back, we'll finish this up and wrap it up and send you off to the links somewhere, okay?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, it is. So
I'll take it.
we'll be right back with Bobby.
We'll go.
I'm Bob Alvis, and thanks for joining us for this segment of AV Veterans Talk.